hi, hi, hi.
Hi. Hi, David.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
We are very well. We're very well. We're happy to be in St. Petersburg finally, after a few attempts that we had to abort, of course, in a, as a real trip. At least we are there virtually today.
Yeah. So I'm in St. Petersburg, and hopefully I'll be able to show you as much as possible about what we do at the factory. Obviously, the tour usually takes much longer because we have so much to show, but we'll try to make it short. And if you have any questions, you interrupt me and you ask me the questions.
Absolutely. I will, as we are talking, I will still try to get Ricky involved in our conversation from Scottish Watches. That would be fantastic. Otherwise, David, I will let you introduce first the relevance of the building you're in St. Petersburg. It's not just a building. It's not just a place in St. Petersburg. We are talking about the oldest factory in Russia. So how important and how relevant is the location of where you are?
So the factory was founded exactly in our location 300 years ago by the Emperor Peter the Great. So when you visit the factory, you have an incredible sense of history. And over the past 300 years, the factory never closed down, and it went through very difficult periods of time, which, the revolution, the Second World War, the perestroika, and the factory has managed to survive every single of these difficult times. And it's kind of a miracle, I think, because making mechanical watches in itself extremely complex. I'm sure you know about that. And it's a miracle that we've managed to continue keeping all of this know-how despite, all of these difficult times. In the Soviet times, the factory was huge. There were more than 7,000 specialists working in the factory, and it was producing more than 5 million mechanical watches every single year. Today, we are much less, and I'll show you what's left of it. But it's still very, very amazing. But the most important is we did not lose the know-how. You can buy new machines, you can buy new building, but what you can't buy is the know-how.
At the time, and I don't know if Dave, you already have a question, but my first question would be, at the time of the Soviet Union, we said, because of obviously Russia not being an open market, Raketa was satisfying the need for mechanical watches for the whole of the country. So the numbers were appalling. And now, is it your strategy to turn it into more of an artisanal kind of operation in the world of independent watchmaking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't have at all the ambition to become like a second Swatch Group, producing millions and millions and millions of mechanical watches every year. That would be just totally crazy for us. Most of the operations are done by hand. Still, it's a very semi-manual technical process kind of operation, and you'll see all of that. So we'll see how it goes. For the moment, we produce between 5,000 and 10,000 mechanical watches every year. We'll grow. Up to how much, it's difficult to say now. But we definitely want to keep this artisanal know-how, technical process way of working, because this is all about, watches are all about emotions. And we don't have a single CNC machine in the factory, these numeric automated machines. You will see that behind every machine that there's a man or a woman. And we want to keep these emotions because it's very important. And anyone who comes to visit the factory usually is very much impressed by that, and he gets, he comes out with a lot of emotions.
In St. Petersburg, maybe we can start the visit. And tell me, are you planning, or do you already have a museum, a Raketa Watches museum in this historical building? You are obviously your base with the manufacturing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually standing in the museum. It's not a very big museum because we lost a lot of items during, when the Soviet Union collapsed. Unfortunately, a lot of items were stolen or taken away or sold to get some cash. But we still have a little museum left, and I'm actually standing in the museum right now.
Very good. Very good. Brilliant. So from the museum, you have access directly to the manufacturing premises? What
exactly.
is the itinerary?
Exactly. Everything is in one building, which is quite amazing. It's something that's quite unique. All of the production is under one single roof.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, this is, I can't wait, David. And if you agree, we can start the tour. I think that it really doesn't happen every day. You'll tell me if this is the first time that you do a broadcast when you're showing actually live to people your manufacturing facilities, but people are intrigued. We are seeing a growing interest around Raketa, and in general, Russian watchmaking. That is something that is a little bit alien to a lot of us, but it's something that has now years and years of background.
It is. We invite a lot of people to visit the factory. We've had a lot of Swiss specialists come and visit our factory, and they're all very much amazed because they say, wow, you work like we worked in Switzerland 50 years ago. And please don't change anything because this is really interesting, a lot of emotions. And what you will see today, what I will try to show you as best as possible, is something quite unique. You'll see how watches were made 50 years ago in Switzerland.
Fantastic. Dave, I was going to ask, do you have a question before we start the real tour?
No, I'm all good just now. Let's get on with the tour, I think, and let people see the factory.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, David, we'll follow you.
Okay. If you have any questions, you just interrupt me. Sometimes it will be a bit noisy, so you might have difficulties hearing me because obviously machines make a lot of noise. And we will start with the departments where we do the decoration on the rotor of the mechanical movements for the Mars watch. So I'll show you how we make we do this beautiful rotor for the Mars watch. So let's just come out of the museum, and it's really quite simple. It's the room that's right next to the museum. Here we go. So this is I'll be showing you how. You see, this is the finished rotor that will, in a few days, be sitting on the movements of the Mars watch, Mars 3 watch. And now Natalia will show us how she turns into this amazing reddish color.
We have a few little details, Dave, on the rotor itself, because the dial was not special enough. So we thought out also quite a bit about the rotor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've decided to give the rotor this reddish color because obviously Mars is reddish. It took us, we never did that before, so we never had rotors with a red color. It took us a lot of, a few months to reach the right color. And now we've totally mastered the technology to do it. And here you go, you can see the rotor it takes, I mean, we'll show you just one operation. It takes a bit more time to achieve the right color.
It's like obviously a bath of pigments,
exactly,
chemical
exactly.
pigments. Yep.
And I will show you right now finished rotors. Can you see them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's they're finished. They're drying out, and afterwards the next step will be to print. We're going to print the lander, the picture of the lander, on this rotor.
A lander that was discovered by chance, still laying on planet Mars, David, only in 2013, by NASA, because it got completely forgotten and obviously left where it was when the famous mission went terribly wrong at one point. Yeah,
exactly. That there was this enormous storm on Mars, and when the lander landed, that was a miracle in itself that it landed successfully. It just had the time to take one picture that it sent out to Earth, and then the lander disappeared, and it was rediscovered by someone and by NASA only a few years ago. They found the parachute, they found the lander itself. So it's quite an amazing story. Well, I'll just show you again the rotor. It's difficult to manipulate at the same time the components and the telephone, but here you go.
Yeah, and so this is before the printing of the silhouette of the lander itself.
Exactly.
Very nice, very nice. So you do obviously the decoration itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
The finishing and then the bath.
Exactly. We do 90% of the operations. We do them in house. So obviously, I will not have the time to show you everything, but if you do come to St. Petersburg, you will see nearly everything. Now, the next room that I want to show you is a room that's very important. It's where we keep all of the raw material that we use to produce the components. So you see these metal bars. All of these metal bars will be transformed into screws, into pinions, into axes. And what I want to show you, the really amazing thing that I want to show you, is the raw material that we use to produce the hairspring. This is something that we never show to anyone usually, but since...
Is it on the... Because we can see your face now, David. Is it on the right compared to where you are?
I'll show you, I'll show you. I'm just climbing upstairs, if you see, if you see me. Yeah. So you see, this is the raw material, but these are the metal wires that we use to produce the hairspring. So all of these metal wires, this raw material dates back to Soviet times.
Yeah.
We have 80 kilos of it, so you can just imagine how many millions of watches we can produce. And this is a very secret alloy that very, very few companies in the world know. And out of this, we make the hairspring, which is, like, you know, is the heart of the mechanical movement.
David, there's another country. There's another country called Switzerland where a lot of brands are still trying to figure out how you make the damn thing, the hairspring. Yeah. No, Dave, hairspring is a bit of a swear word, no, in the industry, isn't it?
Absolutely. The fact that you guys have the technology to make those yourself is impressive.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's. I mean, we're very, very lucky. You know, when all of these Soviet factories collapsed, a lot of things and machines were sold or disappeared, were just thrown away, and we're just extremely lucky that the raw material for the hairspring was kept, and that we have so much left of it. Because basically, without it, we would be dead. I mean, you cannot make mechanical watches without having access to raw material to make hairsprings, and hairsprings is something that you cannot really buy on the market. I mean, it's very difficult.
Absolutely. So do you have I mean, I can see the raw materials. Do you have like a sizable stock of hairsprings already, obviously ready for your next years of production? Or you maybe silly question, or you make them as you go along? How does it work?
Well, we have a big stock of ready hairsprings, but we're trying to improve the quality. So every year we produce some new ones, which are even better in terms of quality. So we have a big stock, but sometimes we prefer not to use the old stock because the quality is not at the level that we want to have now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you get requests to supply other brands with the hairspring? I mean, obviously knowing that how difficult it is to...
We do, but we've decided not to supply because otherwise we wouldn't have enough time to produce our own components. We have a very big demand for Raketa watches now. And we have a good problem is that we have difficulties supplying. We have more demand than we can supply. So basically,
I know that, Dave. I think.
I'm now in the department where we do the heat treating.
Yeah.
So every single metal component has to go through heat treating to reach a certain level of hardness that will allow it to be worked properly by the machines. So they go in this oven, which takes them to a temperature of 800 degrees. And afterwards, they cool down and they reach the proper hardness. And this is the second machine that I want to show you. This is the machine that we use to do the heat treatments of the hairspring. The hairspring basically is a wire, and this wire has to be coiled and become like a spring. And to do that, we put them in this oven, which is a Swiss oven that was bought in the Soviet times in Switzerland. And in this oven, we do the heat treatment of the hairspring. So this is something that you will hardly ever see anywhere else.
Amazing, amazing. So that's one of the real assets, of course, along with all the operations that you actually master in-house. Really, really interesting, Dave. So
just to finish, so the components have reached a temperature of 300 degrees, and now they will be thrown out of the oven to cool down.
So, oh yeah. Wow.
All of the components fell into the oil, and they will gradually cool down to the right temperature.
So, and that operation repeats for every single hairspring that you make?
No. Yeah, every single hairspring goes through in the second oven that I showed you, the big one. In the small oven that I just showed you, it's other components like screws, wheels, pinions, axes.
And it's one of those where your timepieces are so are so yours, so iconic, and so not like any other brand, that you have to make also the tools, and you have to adapt the machines that you use. It's an ongoing research and development all the time, no, in your operation.
Exactly, because producing in Russia is like producing on an island. In Switzerland, you have a network of specialists. Whenever you have a machine that broke, or you need tooling or any kind of instrument, you can go and buy it or find a specialist who can help you to repair the machine. In Russia, basically, we're like sitting on an island. There's no one who can help us. So we have to pretty much do everything ourselves, which is like kind of crazy. But the Russians are very, very good at, you know, finding solutions with in difficult situations. The Russians are really good at that.
Fantastic, fantastic.
So we're now in the. So it's a bit noisy now. So this is the department where we produce most of the components. On this very old machine, we produce the plates. The plate is like the foundation of the mechanical movement. I'll just show you without any explanations, because otherwise you can't really hear me.
So we are live from St. Petersburg, from Raketa watches, to discover, I think for the first time ever, Dave,
yeah,
how a genuine in-house manufacturer, Russian manufacturer, actually operates. And we're looking here at machines that have been operating for decades and decades, and some stuff that has been in the factory since a long time, really. So Raketa can now leverage on this knowledge and this. I'm
sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, it's okay. I was just covering, explaining what we were seeing there. What else do you have there to show us?
I can show you. It's already quite late, so all of our specialists, they start very early. I don't know why, 7 o'clock in the morning. This is a very important department where they control the quality of every single component. They put the components on below this microscope, and they check that it's in conformity with the technical drawings. So that's to ensure that the quality of every single component that we produce is correct. And here, Evgeny is checking the quality of the tooth of a wheel.
Oh yeah, you can see
amazing.
That.
Yeah.
So, David, how often? Oh, sorry, I don't know if David can hear me here. And Dave from Scottish Watches, this is all the things we've missed out on.
Absolutely. So hopefully we'll get to see this stuff in spring next year in real life.
Absolutely, it would be great. For those that are waiting for the Mars watch, as you can see, the Mars watch is being completed as we speak. We have sold a sizable quantity already. With Scottish Watches, we're not big fans of snap subscriptions, so we make sure we have enough pieces. 50 pieces is a good number for Raketa, for a limited edition that is priced at 1,680 excluding tax. For everybody to have a good thought, you know, build their knowledge, research, and understand if this piece can be something for their collection.
Absolutely.
So this is quite an interesting machine. This is a machine that's a lathe machine. Basically, we put in metal rods, metal bars, that we transform into the axe of the balance wheel. This is a very strategic component because the balance wheel is set on this axe. And I'll just show you the components. It's tiny, and it's made by this incredibly complex machine. And then all of these components, they fall. It's difficult to convey through the telephone, through Instagram, but basically the precision is crazy. The component that I just tried to show you is small. You wouldn't even be able to see it on the table.
David, from the point of view of the machines and the assets that you have in the premises, do you have to invest more on reconditioning the old machines that were used in the Soviet Union, or are you renewing the machines by acquiring new technology all the time, or a bit of both?
Yeah, a bit of, I mean, 90% of the machines we have are still Soviet machines. I'll just show you now, sometimes we have to buy new machines. And what I'll show you now, it's a bit noisy, but you'll be able to understand. I'll show you the Soviet machine and the new machine that does exactly the same thing, and you'll just see the difference, and you'll just understand why we bought a new machine. It's a machine that cuts the teeth on the wheels and the pinions. So this is the Soviet machine. And this is the new machine that does exactly the same thing.
Now, exactly the same thing or slightly different?
Yeah, you see? It cuts the wheels, you see the teeth.
Yeah, Dave, it must be, I mean, not easy from the industrial point of view, making those decisions. Are we still using the machines that made the legacy and the legend about the brand, or are we upgrading to technology that is now available because Russia is a free market now? It's an interesting one, no?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, it's an interesting one between, I was also, the question was also for you, Scottish watches, Dave. And what do? You keep using the charm of the old, legendary machines, from the Soviet times, or do you upgrade to the new technologies that now are available in Russia because Russia is a free market now?
I'm sorry, can you just repeat the question? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry, Pietro.
Yes. So with David from Scottish Watches, we were thinking. We're thinking, what do we do? It's interesting. You have to make decisions every day on whether to keep the charm and the tradition of machines that have been doing their job since the time of the Soviet Union, or do you open yourself up to the free market where Russia is now immersed in and upgrade with new machinery, new technology? I mean, from the point of view of the charm of the brand, these are difficult decisions to make, no?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, there's no reason to change something that works. And the Russians are very good at doing very simple, robust things that work in difficult conditions. So from that point of view, most of the Soviet machines are just incredibly good. And as long as we maintain them properly, in 100 years, they will still be working. The problem with these Swiss modern machines is they are numeric machines. They need a software that's outdated every 2 years. And they're extremely difficult to maintain, and no one knows how to maintain them in Russia. So if they break down, we would have to, ship in specialists from Switzerland. It's a difficult trade-off. And I mean, the other reason we don't buy Swiss machines most of the time is just because they're terribly expensive. But the main reason is there's no reason to change something that works. And all of our machines, they work very, very well. They achieve the level of precision that we need. And we only change them if really, really the Soviet machines are just too old and we can't achieve the level of precision that we want. So the next department that I want to show you is a very important department. Is the biggest enemy of mechanical watches is dirt, which is oil, shavings, just any kind of dirt. So every component before going to the assembly has to be washed many, many times through a lot of difficult, processes, temperatures, liquids. I'll just show you a few machines. So it's basically like washing machines. And it's all done by these wonderful ladies that do an incredible job, not in very easy conditions. So we have all these modern machines, and sometimes we just use, some basic more primitive ways of washing components. So that's a very important department.
Amazing.
There must be a lot of troubleshooting that it happens as you go along, no, David?
Yeah, of course. I mean, production is always difficult. We have a lot of friends working in production now in Switzerland, and I mean, it's never easy. I mean, producing something. I mean, basically, you should understand that we work with tolerances of a micron. A micron is, you take a millimeter and you divide it by 1,000. So that's the kind of tolerances that we must reach. And if our components are not within a tolerance of a few microns, it will affect the quality of the watch. I just want to show you a really incredible machine. That's one of my favorite machines. Now, we invited, like a few years ago, the director of the production of escapements from Rolex. And when he saw this machine, he said, wow, it's incredible. In Rolex, we have the same machines. It's a machine that polishes the teeth of the anchor wheel, a very important operation. And he said, at Rolex, they have a machine that's as big as a car, like a real car. And I'll just show you now the machine that we have from the Soviet times. It's just amazing. And when I see we work old school, you'll understand what old school really means.
Wow.
Yeah, and you see the specialist who's working here is the young guy, and we're super proud of that, because the biggest difficulty we had when we took over the factory was that there were only 20 very old people left, and that was one of the biggest challenges we had, was to transfer as quickly as possible all the know-how to young people, and it took us a lot of time to actually persuade young people to come and work with us and to become watchmakers. And we're super proud that Yevgeny is now working and doing this incredibly complex operation.
That's the other thing we were discussing also when I visited. I had the chance to visit the Konstantin Chaykin manufacturer in Moscow, and he's forming the new machine operators, the new artisans. That is one of the massive challenges that they have in Russia as well.
Yeah, exactly. There are very few specialists left in Russia, very few. And that's a huge challenge we have is, unfortunately, one of our specialists passed away because of the COVID in August. And now it's a big challenge for us to find someone who will replace him. And, but you know, we have a lot of credibility today. And actually someone came from Switzerland to help us to remake this department work. So it's fine. We always find solutions. And now I want to show you like something that I think you never saw before, is how we make the hairspring. Now, usually these machines worked not more than 3 times a year, and they were planning to launch the next production in a month. And especially for you, I asked them to start it now, and I'll show you. So basically, the hairspring is made from a metal wire, and the first operation is the diameter of the wire has to be reduced to a very small diameter. So the wire goes through several dices, and the diameter is reduced. It's called lamination. So this is the machine. I don't know if you see. This is the wire. I didn't see. Yeah. I hope you can see it. It goes through these kind of dices, and each dice reduces the diameter of the wire. And basically, if we get the diameter wrong by even 3 microns, it will affect the quality of the watch by at least 3 minutes every day. So it's incredible precision. And then the next step is you have to flatten the wire to make it like a blade. So to do that, the wire has to go through these 2 dices. I hope you can see them. I hope you can see the wire. Yeah. And this is a very complex operation where the precision is 0.5 microns. So it's half a micron. And if we get that wrong, it will affect the quality of the watch by more than 5 minutes every single day. And this is all done by our specialists. And the funny thing is, when we have the Swiss guys come over, they all tell him, wow, it's incredible what you do, no one else, and hardly anyone in the world can do it. And then he says to me, but there's nothing complicated. You know, I do it very easily.
So David from Scottish Watches, I don't know if we've been taken for a ride with this story of the hairspring, but still there are very, very few brands still, making their own hairspring. Probably the reason is in the amount of time that is required beforehand in research and development. The Raketa have done their groundwork before, so they are in a position now to be able to do that. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so few brands now actually even have that knowledge and know-how to be able to do that as they can at Raketa now. So it's amazing that these guys have retained that ability.
So this is Anna. Anna is one of our specialists. So you're now in the department, in the room where we assemble the hairspring, the balance axe, and the balance wheel itself. It's a very, very difficult operation. And I don't know if you see in the little box, you have all of our balance wheels. And Anna now is assembling the balance wheel in the balance axe. So we have a module which consists of a balance and its axe.
How many people are working in the premises at the moment, David?
We have approximately 80 people working at the factory at the moment.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I hope you can see this. I can show you another operation. We have a young specialist, Alexei, who's checking that the quality of the balance wheel.
Yes, and I'm reading your comments, guys. Thank you very much for dropping them on. If you have any question, please let us know. I hope this is the first of a few broadcasts we'll be able to do on Raketa, because we believe, Dave Sharp, Raketa is a hidden gem in so many ways. We just, obviously these are operations that have been going on for decades over there, but to the vast public that we are lucky to expose now, this is all new, no, in a way.
Absolutely. This is a brand that are doing things that only a handful of Swiss brands can do and aren't necessarily getting the recognition or the kind of appreciation of what they can do. And hopefully by people seeing this and beginning to understand what Raketa are doing is really quite it's quite a rare thing in the world of watches. And hopefully we'll see the brand grow over the next few years into doing more and more of what we've done with them over the last few months.
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to show you some things. It's actually quite difficult to show, but as you see in our escapement department, you have only young people working, which is an incredible achievement, considering that all of these people, like a few years ago, were not trained in watchmaking schools. So we have a watchmaking school where we actually teach them all the watchmaking science, and now they produce the balance wheel, the escapement, the hairspring, and they assemble all of that into an escapement, and it works. It's quite amazing.
And I was going to say as well, David Sharp, the price point is fairly incredible, because we go to Raketa in our mission to spread the message on the fact that a nice independent watch doesn't need to be crazy expensive. There is a fantastic watch for every pocket, and Raketa, they epitomize a little bit that. Yes, it's not made in Switzerland, but it's made in Russia the way we're showing today.
Absolutely. I think it's fair to say that a lot of people believe that if you're buying something that's all manufactured in-house, it instantly becomes very expensive and out of reach. And I think Raketa are showing that that's not the case. You can have, these are not cheap watches, but these are very good value watches, which are fully made in-house. So yeah, I think it's really interesting.
Pietro and Dave, we're now in the assembly department. This is a department where we assemble the mechanical movements, and then we assemble the mechanical movements in the watches themselves. And you will see now more precisely how we assemble the Mars watch. So if you can just follow me.
That's the real deal then, Dave. We can't wait. We can't wait.
So I want to show you, first I want to show you the dials. I'll try to...
The dials, David, that took a bit of an effort, no, to achieve the right color we wanted, and obviously the low relief engraving that you managed to laser engrave on it.
Exactly. This is a very complicated dial. It's made out of bronze, and it goes through a etching process, which is very difficult to master. And we had great difficulties to reach this reddish color. And the structure is done in such a way that when you look at the dial through different angles, the color changes. And it's a bit like Mars. You know, when you look at photos of Mars on the internet, it has a variety of colors. And this dial very much looks like Mars itself. And it reproduces the first photo that was taken from Mars by the lander in 1971. So it's a very, very beautiful dial. And you will see now how the hands are assembled on the dial. I hope you can see that. So,
and David Sharp, we could have gone for a Fume, you know, green dial. our life, and especially David's life would have been much easier. But we wanted to go for the real thing, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And unfortunately, you guys had to come, but since you couldn't come, we had to ship to you many times by DHL the samples to get the color right. And what you see now is the result of very hard work between Scotland, England, and St. Petersburg.
Yes, and I think the dial has really turned out, you know, it's very special. I think the reality of it compared to the photo is so good. I know a lot of people have asked what the big bar in the middle is, and the answer is no one really knows. It was just an artifact of the photograph. So it's a really accurate depiction of what the actual dial or the photograph was that came back, which was also, I believe, hidden. Is that right, David? The photo only made the light of day some 20 years after it was sent back?
Yeah, no. It was sent back immediately, but the quality of the photo was obviously not very good because of the storm. There was this really incredible storm on Mars, a dust storm. And that's why the quality was bad, and that's why you had this big line in the middle. And the Soviets just archived the photo, thinking they couldn't do anything with it, and they took it out of the archives only recently, from what I understand. So the very first image from Mars was just put away, and no one knew about it until recently.
Amazing.
We have a question. Sorry, David. We have a question from one of our. From the audience. They're asking, what is the price range of Raketa these days? I'm wearing the latest of the big zeros, which is the entry level for Raketa, which is around £600. And then Raketa goes to up to £2,000 more or less. So this is the price range, which is quite remarkable for, you know, as we've seen today how things are made at Raketa. The Mars watch is 1,680 excluding VAT, 50 pieces limited. We just launched it, and more or less half of them have been sold. So there is a few more that are available to reserve if you like the story, if you like the watch. That we, as we said, we purposely didn't make very commercial, but we love it, and we wanted, you know, of course, to tell the full story, the genuine story.
So yeah. This is Dima. Dima is assembling.
Hello.
Hello.
Dobre wiecie, Dima.
Dobry wieczór. Хорошо.
So once the dial and the hands are assembled on the movements, Dima assembles all of that into the case itself. Now the case, as you can see, we printed on the glass the hour scale, and it's a 24-hour watch. It's a 24-hour movement, because obviously when you're in space, you need a 24-hour movement to distinguish day from night. And as you can see, Dima is assembling all of that inside the case.
And it's not a GMT, as we said, but there is the indication of the time on Mars as well, which is a little nice little treat, I guess.
Exactly.
And that's used via the bezel, correct?
Yeah, and on the bezel you have engraved the Martian time. The Martian time, the Martian hour is slightly longer than the Earth hour. So it's a watch with a double time. You have the Earth time and the Martian time, which is really, really cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. So we're not at the levels of the Konstantin Chaykin Mars Conqueror that will be remembered as the archetype of the ultimate mechanical Mars watch, but we wanted to give that feeling, didn't we, David, from Scottish Watches?
Absolutely. We wanted to allow people to have something that has that Mars connection at a, let's be honest, an attractive and kind of accessible price point. Because whilst Chaykin makes some beautiful watches, they're not necessarily the most attainable for most people. So this allows people to buy into, their love of space, Mars, etc., with a beautiful watch at a very attractive price.
Yeah. So maybe I can show you just one last operation, is how they assembled, they finish assembling the watch.
Are you positive, David, on the delivery of the Mars watches? Have you encountered a lot of issues so far, or everything is going smoothly?
No, everything is going smoothly. They'll finish assembling all of the watches by the end of this year. And then they will start a control procedure for a few weeks. Obviously, the Russian holiday starts on the 31st of December, because the Russian Christmas, unlike Europe, is on the 7th of January. So the factory will be closed from the 31st until the 10th of December. And then the watches will be delivered after that. And for the moment, it's going very, very smoothly. I'm just trying to understand who's assembling the rotor on the... Oh, here we are. I hope you can see that. So you have all the rotors. I mean, some of them. I'll try to show them to you.
Yeah, we can see.
I hope you can see them.
Yeah.
So they have this reddish color, a rusty reddish color, and we printed on the rotor the lander that landed on Mars, that functioned for approximately 90 seconds. That took the picture, and then it disappeared, and it was only recently rediscovered on Mars. And this rotor will be assembled very soon on the watches. And I hope you can see, but on the movement itself, I hope you can see that we printed the constellations. I don't know if you can see it, but the movement itself is very, very beautiful. So it's being assembled now.
Yeah, for people like DMall Custom, thanks for your questions. Feel free to get in touch with us. All the information are on our website. I believe we are one of the few retailers, official retailers for Raketa worldwide. You can check out thelimitededition.co.uk, our Instagram account, and you'll find all the information about the Mars watch. We've been lucky also to have a great podcast. This gentleman here, below me in the video, David Sharp, was in Dubai. And with David, they recorded a great podcast that explains the project of this timepiece. That we have done, really, David, is not about the limited edition itself. It's about really getting the story of Raketa known, because it's about time, because it's incredible that it's been so underground and so underrated in so many ways.
Absolutely. And, from the discussion that we've had and that recording of the podcast, there's even more exciting things to come next year as well.
And David Andersen, if there are some comments in Russian, if you want to take them up, if they can be repeated, of course. Otherwise, we can move on.
It's very difficult to show, but Dima has just finished. Dima has just finished assembling the watch.
Oh, fantastic!
And, it's difficult to show it properly, but it's a 24-hour watch. The hour indexes are printed on a sapphire glass. You have this amazing bronze etched dial that the color of which changes depending on the angle through which you're looking at it. And I just want to show you the box. Once it will be in its box with the strap. Where is it? Oh, here we are. So this is the first sample of the box. So it's a really nice a black box on which it says Raketa Mars 3, Russian manufactured. So you see the watch itself with this leather strap, which is also made in Russia. We try to do like nearly everything in Russia.
Can you turn it a little bit? There's just the reflection of the light. If you can just tilt the box slightly. Yeah. It's just the light that reflects on the, Perfect.
The watch will be delivered with a second strap made of a rubber strap. A very, very beautiful rubber strap. And also you will have a little booklet with all the explanations about this lander, about this Mars expedition, about about the photo, about how we made the watch, and the collaboration with Scottish Watches and the limited edition.
It's a full package, and we like your little touch, David, because David Sharp and myself, we've been lucky to acquire a Raketa recently. You get the picture of the watchmaker or the machine operator that has been working on your watch. I think that's a great touch. Are we gonna get Dima's
Absolutely.
picture or Anna's?
Yeah. So every box is delivered. Every watch is delivered with randomly. We put a picture of one of our watchmakers, and the reason we do that is because we're so super proud of what they do. Because basically, their job is much more difficult than my job. I mean, doing selling, marketing, all of that is so much easier than what these guys do. They're extremely highly qualified, and we're super proud of them. So every watch is delivered with a photo. A random photo of our specialists, and at the back of the photo, we give the name of the specialist and we explain what operation he did in your watch.
That's amazing. And there's another little gem, David. You've been invited by with your watch. You've been invited to the factory as well, which is something that Raketa is very open for everyone to be able to do.
Exactly, and also in every single box, you get an invitation to visit the factory. I mean, obviously now it's a bit difficult since, like you guys know, it's difficult to travel. But otherwise, our factory is open for visits. And I can show you Katya. If you come to visit the factory, Katya most likely will show you around. She's in charge of our museum. She's in charge of showing the factory. And basically, Katya will show you everything in much more detail than we just did today.
Fantastic. Listen, I'm very conscious of the time you've been devoting to me, both Davids here, David Sharp and David Henderson. This has been great. I hope this video will circulate enough, because I think it's the first time that we can show this gem, which is Raketa watches from St. Petersburg, from the inside. And again, we'll facilitate real visits of the factory in the future, but I think this was a great appetizer, David. And I don't know you, David Sharp, but I feel like I want to go even more desperately to
yeah,
visit.
I now wish we could go now. Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. So I shall thank you, David Sharp, from I don't know if you're in Glasgow today, but representative of course Scottish Watches, and we'll see you very soon. And David Henderson, you know, really grateful for your time, for what you do, and we are really proud to be able to tell the story.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much.
David.
We're super proud of this collaboration with the Scottish Watches, with the limited edition. I mean, this is one of the reasons that we like what we do, is because, you know, once again, it's all about emotions. And this project is the result of an incredible collaboration. And we're super proud of that.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time, David.
Thank you very much, Pietro. Thank you very much, Dave. And say hello to Ricky.
I will do.
Thanks so much. So this broadcast will stay on our IGTV for the next foreseeable future. So if you watch it later on, just let us know if you have any question, if you want to know more. Otherwise, Scottish Watches, the limited edition, Raketa, Raketa's website itself are the places for you to learn and create your knowledge about this little gem of independent watchmaking. So thank you. Spasibo bolshoi, David. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you very, very soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.